Okay, so today I want to review Dune 2. Uh, it was an amazing movie, and this is a first YouTube video that I've uploaded in a long time. And I thought, what could I do? What could I do? And I'm like, well, I just saw Dune 2. Let's talk about it. So, and in case you didn't see Dune 1, you got to see that one for Dune 2 to make sense. I watched Dune 1 maybe 10 or 15 times. And after that, I wanted to know more about the story. So I didn't read the book, but I did a lot of research on fandom and people who've read the books and to follow where the story goes from there. So I kind of knew what was going to happen in Dune 2. But someone said it best, like, if you like Dune 1, liked or loved, then you'll probably like or love this one. So this was great. The music was great. You could tell Hans Zimmer had a lot of passion and time and effort that he put into this. And I'll say this about, I didn't see anyone else say this, but he came out with an album called The Art and Soul of Dune. And on the first track, it's called Forward. And it sounds like Amazing Grace, Amazing Grace, how sweet. And he used, in my opinion, he used that theme for a large part of Dune 2. Now, Dune 2 touches on a lot of like religious components and political components, and people are saying that Star Wars copied Dune 2. I don't really think so. Maybe some aspects of sci-fi are going to blend together or overlap. I think Star Wars is great on its own, especially like the George Lucas years. But Dune 2 had Denis Villeneuve just had such a strong image and sound. And he was saying that he's not one for dialogue, and you can kind of tell like there's just a huge image and sound to it. Now, in the Franklin Theater, there is both Dolby and IMAX, and I've seen many movies on both of them, and they're both great. The big difference is IMAX is sort of like a big square, and whereas Dolby is more rectangular. However, in my experience, I love the Dolby theater, and part of the big reason why is because the IMAX theater is a little bit older, and the seats are more crowded. So if you got to go to the bathroom, you're like stepping over people practically. Whereas the Dolby theater, there's leather reclining seats, and if you got to go, you can come in and out with no problems about bothering anyone else, and that's a huge advantage. And also, just the Dolby has amazing sound, and so does IMAX. But you can tell there's some quality in Dolby, and both images are great. But for me, I would say Dolby Theater was worth it. What else? The storyline is, I think it strikes a chord with just a lot of people. I think it touches on topics of, like I said, religion and politics, and people can identify with that, and betrayal and jealousy, and the dynamics between his parents are interesting. Chani is like his lover, whereas Princess Irulan is, made to be his political wife. Um, you know, Trying to think what else should be said. Hans Zimmer was great. Denis Villeneuve, he does amazing movies. People are comparing him with Christopher Nolan. I think Hollywood produced a really good piece of content right here, and it's not, about who the actors are and what kind of wrong they've done. I think that there's just a great story that was written about, and then it's just being retold. From what I hear, they're going to have a Dune 3. I would highly be excited if that were true. Dune Messiah. And, it gets kind of crazy once you get into the further Dunes. Like, Paul Atreides. I'm just going to spoil this, it's fine. Paul Atreides has a son who turns into a worm and rules for 3,500 years, and he just becomes this emperor and dictator type. And I think that would be really interesting if someone made a movie about that. The action sequences here I just was able to shoot little clips with my iPhone, and that's what you're seeing here on desk view. When they're riding the sandworms, and they're going to come into uh, Arrakis to kind of take over again. The scenes with the Harkonnens are very dark, and they make for good villains. You know, the scene that was shot in infrared has this black and white, milky vibe, and it's kind of like Gladiator, still with Hans Zimmer. He still has it, and you get the sense that there's just a lot of time that's been put into each frame. I mean, probably hours and hours and years of each frame being, uh, carefully constructed. So as far as sci-fi goes, this definitely is along the lines of like a Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, or just like a once in a decade type of movie, in my opinion. They could make a series, like, and I think they will, but the movie's 2 hours 45 minutes, so it's kind of long. You might have to use the restroom, you might have to just sit through it. I'll be waiting for streaming when it comes out, because I definitely want to see it more times, but right now it's like $18 to see it, and that's not like a super cheap thing. So those are just some quick thoughts of um, my thoughts on Dune. I'd highly recommend it, and I'm curious as to if you've seen it and also what you think of it. Be awesome to hear your thoughts. Okay? All right, I'll talk to you soon.